Well, hey everybody. Today is Saturday. It's March the 8th day. The year is 2025. Can you believe it? The year, the years, plural, are a product of speeding time up right now as we even see outside of what is going on in the world. We can tell that it's not the same world we once was in when we was in the 80s, the 70s, and the 90s, and even the early 2000s. Things have changed to the point that most people are ready for truth and awakening to a spiritual, not a religious inner knowing, but a spiritual awareness that they're perceiving the acceleration of time. And it is happening. Now, this picture that I've got right there says Daniel II, the rise and fall of empires. This is from Shake Your Head Productions. I'm going to jump into it and kind of show you some of that. And then we got a lady that I really like, Truthstream Media. Her and her husband put these videos together. And then there's a interesting statement made in this with Josh Hawley. We're going to go there. And then I want to introduce you to this guy, Jordan Clark. You see that emblem and you see the way that thing's laid out right there. He talks about that. So let's just go on and go back in time to 2006. Where were you at in 2006? What were you doing on the internet back then? I I literally was on the internet in 1995. By the time 2006 came around, there was no YouTube, there was no Google. I was using a program called Lygos Radio to do what little bit I did do. But yeah, this guy's got something to say. And if you take in time of what the year is, you'll see that things that seem to come around, they just come right back around. It's all it's all secular.
We're coming into a cyclical bottom for gold, and it rises going into December, January, so that might be the reverse of the dollar fall. Apart from that, I think one thing people who are dollar-based need to focus on is the Amero. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about, but I think is going to have a big impact on everybody's life in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. If you Google it, you'll find out all about it.
Well, you could tell us a little bit more right now.
You always hear it on CNBC. The Amero is the proposed new currency for the North American community, which is being developed right now between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to make a borderless community, much like the EU, and the dollar, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar, and the Mexican peso replaced by the Amero.
The federal government is already among the largest holders of Bitcoin, as you know, really one of the largest holders in the world, with as many as 200,000 Bitcoin obtained via civil law and various other forms of law, and including enforcement actions. These existing holdings will form the foundation of the new reserve. Unfortunately, in recent years, the U.S. government has foolishly sold tens of thousands of additional Bitcoin that were worth billions and billions of dollars had they not sold them, but they did sell them, mostly during the Biden administration. Not a good thing to have done. From this day on, America will follow the rule that every Bitcoin knows very well: never sell your Bitcoin. That's a little phrase that they have. I don't know if that's right or not. Who the hell knows?
I did it again. I had the microphone down. I am so sorry. Lord have mercy. Well, let me just skip right ahead to this.
You really think that will get any leeway?
You may want to visit a couple of websites and see how far along it is. The Canadians are pretty upset about it, whereas the Americans, apart from the Texans, are the only people who know anything about it. The rest of the public's really sort of with their head in the sand on this one.
Cases of measles are popping up across the United States and may create new concerns, certainly for parents. A doctor with the Cleveland Clinic says that there are steps that you can take to keep your children healthy.
Take something designed by nature and reprogram it to make it work for the body rather than against it.
You're talking about a virus?
Indeed, yes, in this case, the measles.
The measles vaccine was developed back in the 1960s. It is now given as part of the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, which provides
for 6 months, and war between Oklahoma and Texas.
So you have actually cured cancer?
Yes, yes. Yes, we have.
Little thing called predictive programming. We've all seen this before. 2012, the time control, the collective. That was a good move.
13 figures. Well played. That was some risk.
I was very careful with Ernie collaborating with me every step of the way to be able to find the movie narrative inside this dense forest of Ernie's.
This movie tells you a tale about, what the future may hold. Close attention if you've never seen this. Ready Player One.
Found imagination.
The Oasis being the ultimate toy box with all the toys in the world, and then playing that with one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. It results in just amazing action and such a fun adventure.
Ernest Cline is such a visionary, and I think has seen the future before any of us possibly could even imagine it.
And one thing with the metaverse, the type of simulated reality that they want to take people into, they've already hooked them into their cell phones to the point that they can't cut their cell phones off. Low mic again. Darn it. Excuse me. Low mic again. Okay. I was saying that people are so programmed and they're so addicted to their cell phones, they cannot cut them off. They walk around with them all day long, and you can walk up into a McDonald's and you can look around. They're not eating, they're looking at their cell phone. And they can actually look at their cell phones and eat too. But these young people around here where I'm at, and when I get a chance to talk to them, I tell them to practice cutting their telephones off when they got them in their pocket. And they're like, we never thought about that. Well, you need to think about that. And the parents all over this country and all over this world, ever, wherever you are, it's never too late to cut your phone off, and only use it when you want to make a phone call. If you train yourself to do that, you'll find that you have a better quality of life. A better sleep pattern will start coming back to you. Right now, everybody's circadian rhythms are off because of cell phones. It's that diabolical. There's craziness among us. Shake Your Head Productions. Check him out. He does really great work. You can get with the context, and then you can get with the Bible part of it, the technology part that he goes into. It's really interesting. But what I want to show you now is this is coming from Truthstream Media. I've been watching this couple for probably 9 years, and their work is tremendous. And they're on top of a subject here that I just got to chime in on. I know a lot of you've seen this, but have you really took the time to think about how organized and how diabolical some of this communicating that they're doing here is predictive programming? Number two, it proves and shows that these people can read a script and do it really damn good. Makes me wonder if they're actors, but they call themselves politicians. All right, let me get to her talking.
I feel like there's a point about it that needs to be made, and I don't see anyone making it. So when that happens, I tend to be the person that jumps in, but something's been happening a lot, especially since COVID. This very repetitious, brainwashy messaging that has occurred.
Times like these, during these difficult times,
in these troubled times,
challenging times,
trying times, in these times of uncertainty.
And it isn't just corporations.
famous people,
Lots of famous people.
Lots and lots of
flabbergasted,
famous people.
famous people.
And it's not one-sided by any means, as evidenced by the pro-MAGA influencers being invited to the White House to receive their Epstein binders, after which they left looking as though they had just been to Disneyland and got a souvenir, and they all posted on X about how this is the most transparent administration in history, which is literally printed on the front of the binder.
The Epstein story is about his alleged
Literally
molestation
printed
and
on the front of the
inappropriate
binder.
behavior with very young girls. So it's just one of those things, you got to be careful because you don't want to look like you're celebrating anything having to do with that.
And also, that's not transparent to just give documents to one little group of people. And also, the documents they got were already released before.
The documents were already on the internet for 2 years. The version that they gave out to them that were social media influencers that were dancing, strangely enough, wonder who orchestrated the dance. Once somebody started, they were all in lockstep. But yeah, that is so contrived, so brainwashed type of mentality that can do that.
In fact, some of them were more redacted now than they had been when they were released previously. But for those of us who have been paying attention for a while now, this has especially gotten worse since COVID. And now it's just getting to new unseen levels of creepy.
Constitutional crisis. Close to a constitutional crisis. Causing a constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. A constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. In a constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis.
That's not by accident.
Crisis.
That's by design.
Constitutional crisis.
We have a constitutional crisis.
As a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. This is the most serious constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. This is a constitutional crisis.
So, February's political theater ended with Zelensky being dramatically kicked out of the White House.
The president has kicked Zelensky out of the White House. The president felt disrespected. Zelensky's body language, shrugging and eye-rolling, was ungrateful, disrespectful, and the president feels that Zelensky is not ready for peace, and he can come back when he's ready to talk about peace.
And as soon as that happened, many members of the EU started sending out the exact same message. As if somebody wrote up a script and they all agreed, we're all going to send out this one message. And I guess
you guess that it's all the same. When they flip through it, you can see on their Twitters, it's spaced the same. It's all the same. It's cookie cutter. That's what I call it, cookie cutter. It's that obvious.
somewhere they think that just makes them look unified, but what it actually makes them look like is Westworld robots parroting each other from a script that somebody wrote. Who even wrote it?
Who's paying you to write these songs?
Who is the actual screenwriter of this play that we're all living in? I mean, that's the question you have to ask when you see things like this. And I made some offhand remark about how you could be forgiven if you feel like the EU is being run now by Westworld robots, which was really a sarcastic, snarky joke. But now we have a bunch of Democratic senators reading from the same script.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true.
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 That's not
That ain't
normal.
true.
That ain't true.
That ain't true. That ain't true. That ain't true.
That ain't true. That ain't true.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard.
And I put this together because I saw 3 of them. And once I saw 3 of them, I was like, I wonder if there's more. So I went to go look. Then I found 3 more. I actually found 7 of them, but I didn't want to keep smashing them into the thing. So I was like, okay, this is just going to take all day. I think 6 gets the point across. Then I found out, after I put this up, that there are actually 22 of them now, at least.
22 of them now, at least. And there's probably even more that somebody didn't plug into their social media. That is by design. Notice that they're all holding the type of mic that fits in the palm of your hand. It's designed for, for YouTubers. And it's, the script is perfect. Everyone's saying the exact same word and even telling them to, at that end of that word, you sit down. Watch this.
So 22 of our senators were given a script written by someone. We don't know who that is. They say the same thing and they do the same action. They say it, then they sit down.
That's what you just saw. That's what you just saw.
That's what you just saw.
That's what you just saw. That's what you just heard.
That's what you just heard.
And that's what you just heard.
Then they put up the same.
Now, how can you watch that and reflect back on what we think that things were organic and you couldn't get a group of people, politicians, Democrats, Republicans, all to get in an orchestrated lockstep verbal video recording and get them to follow the exact same script. It just showing you that we might be in a simulation. We might be in a holographic reality and becoming the Truman Show within our own lives. But where does it lead? We'll get to that in a minute.
Same font about shit that ain't true. And then all throughout the edit, while they're emotionally delivering this script,
Has now empowered the richest man in the world to take a chainsaw.
He's allowing Elon Musk to literally take a chainsaw.
Elon Musk take a literal chainsaw.
Literally take a chainsaw.
Elon Musk take a chainsaw.
Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, take a chainsaw. His buddy Elon Musk.
Elon Musk take a chainsaw.
Elon Musk dancing on stage with a chainsaw.
Prance around with a chainsaw.
Elon Musk
Take a chainsaw.
Elon Musk bringing a chainsaw, just trying to chop this stuff up.
Elon Musk and his Doge boys.
And his little muskrats.
Elon Musk take the chainsaw.
there are the same clips that are being shown, the exact same clips at the same time, and it all ends with the same line.
You lose, and billionaires win. And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that is the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that is the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that is the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that is the truth.
And it's all edited in the exact same way.
All edited in the exact same way. If you watch that and it don't get under your skin just a little bit, it's not normal. It's not the way we thought it was. I've been personally knowing it ever since even before 2012. And then right after that, when everybody got in lockstep and said 6 feet apart, that was a trigger within my being. And I never wore a mask, but that was the next step. Wash your hands and wear a mask. And anybody in the right mind could look at the way the masks were. It was inefficient from the get-go. Yeah, we're in a we're in a world that is slowly becoming aware that we're aware. They have just as much information about us as we don't have about them. A lot of them come in at a salary of $200,000. They're in there for a few years, and next thing you know, they're worth 20 million. And the next thing you know, they're worth 50 million. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. I'm telling you, it is sad. Now listen to what Josh Hawley says.
Peer-reviewed standards. This effort, this propaganda effort, and that paper, as you remember, was used as the basis of government-directed censorship to those in the scientific community, like yourself, to millions of ordinary Americans. The net effect of this was a tremendous loss in confidence by the American people in the NIH and in our public health officials. You and I have discussed the vital importance of restoring some of that credibility. Talk to us about how you see going about doing that.
Senator, that episode is a low point in the history of science. The top officials of the NIH abused their position to hide support for research that may have caused the pandemic.
Now, the question to ask yourself at that point, will anybody, after he said what he said, will anybody that low in science, will anybody be held accountable? Time will tell, but right now we don't know.
And I commit to making sure that all of the activities of the NIH, not just backwards, but going forward, are transparent and open to the American people and to Congress. That's vitally important for the future of the NIH and for the future of science itself.
Wow. We're living in crazy but loving times. It will bring you to self-awareness. It will bring you to the truth. You're not going to find the truth in a group of people sitting around and saying all the same scripts. Who wrote the script? That's what I want to know, is who wrote it. But this guy right here, he gets to, well, he puts the end of the hammer on the nail. And it's pretty provocative what he says. So I'm going to play just a little bit of it, let you get your feet wet in the conversation, because this is ultimately where we're headed, to understand how diabolically controlled even a free man is.
First, I just want to show you some things. You guys see here, that's a weird coincidence, right? But check this out. See, people need to understand that Israel is not the Israel that we think of in the Bible. Israel has been infiltrated and overthrown by Zionists, Khazarians.
That's a tough point to get across to people. That's why I say you've got to do your research while you still got an internet and while you still got time. There's nothing better than doing your own research. If you're on the awakening path, a lot of people went to the spiritual side of it and just like gave up on believing that we had the ability to create our reality with our thinking. Not only on an individual level, but on a collective level. We can break the dream spell that these people that he just said have control of that group of people that are saying the same thing. Maybe there's something behind it. Let's listen to what he says.
People that literally are proud to tell you they own this world. They run this country of America. They run the countries, Ukraine, Israel itself. Oh, yeah. And they're very, Mossad. Yeah. They'll tell you about it. Just ask them.
Well, he said the opposite of the CIA. The CIA has dominated and controlled the House, the Senate, the politicians, the presidents. And it's a slippery slope if you don't want to hear these truths. But to be empowered to the nth degree so you can get about healing your own reality within your own body by speaking life to your atoms, your cells, and your DNA. See, that's what they don't want you to know. That's what they don't want you sitting around at church talking about. You mean we have an innate ability through our Creator to heal our own bodies, heal our minds, become still, where we don't worry about the fact that it seemingly seems like we don't have no control. That's the illusion. That's what they're building is a simulated reality where they have all your data and they can tell how quickly you will awaken. But I'm here to tell you that part of their algorithm is not working. It's not working. We have control over our minds. That's the important part.
But I mean, here's Harold Rosenthal. Americans have not had a presidential choice since 1932, when Roosevelt was our man. Every president since Roosevelt has been our man. Man, hold on, check this out. 33 years before 9/11, here's an Israeli shekel. That's kind of weird, a plane, and
That's kind of weird.
I mean, the symbolism, like Q has told us, symbolism will be their downfall. Religion, law, money, politics.
He mentioned the Q word. Yeah, the 17th letter. It's just for entertainment purposes at this point. Satire. It has no real value except for it's entertainment.
It's all in there. But hold on. We've always known the Democratic Party is going to cease to exist after all this is exposed. Not only that, have you guys actually seen how many people in Congress are actually a dual citizen?
Look, that's the part where you got to do your own research. What he just said there is it's been able and anyone could actually research it way back, years and years and years ago. But that dual citizenship thing is one of the reasons it got Kennedy killed. It's the type of crap that was being dictated to us through I think he went all the way back to the 30s. Actually, it goes back to 1911, the Birth Identity Act, and then the 10 Tax Identity Act, and then the Federal Reserve Act, 1913. All three of these acts came within 2.5 years of each other, and we became under a central bank that's no more a bank like we know to be. Yeah, it's diabolical.
A dual citizen? Okay, what? Dual citizenship? Loyalty to the U.S. and to Israel? We have been infiltrated by very demonic people higher elites, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, just to start naming a few names. Again.
Oh boy, he's name dropping. He's getting right to it. And there's, for every video that you said, that was so restricted. And now we have the opportunity for informational warfare to go to truth fair, and for people to use that truth to even do greater research, to get down to the essence of who our Father is in heaven. What is heaven? And what is it? What does it mean to say, my Father? I'm not talking about my earthly father. I'm talking about the creator of all things that are eternal. Now, when he talks about this world, he's talking about an evil Luciferian source that is not the Father, but has sat on the throne as if it was a good thing. But every dirty deed will be shouted from the rooftop, and the disclosure exposing what he is saying is being amplified, like all those other people were doing their little reading script. You got thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people making video because they're driven to tell the truth and seek the truth. And that truth will set you free, not until you know your identity in Christ. I call it Yeshua ben Joseph. It's the Christ nature that has always been available to us. It's just been so much mind control that we didn't have a choice. We were told what to think and how to think. That spell has been broken. And thank God, because this kind of information that he's bringing out has to come to the forefront so we can get on about the business of breaking the collective spell that has been controlling the timeline through the collective consciousness of the people that don't know the truth. They just like NPCs, and even their spell is being broken by people like this talking and making these cool videos. Listen to what he says next.
And there's always good people within every race, every ethnicity, but we have to understand how deep this is. The Epstein list, the reason it's not coming out is because it's all attached. It will bring down the house. It will cause chaos if all this information is released. The pill has to be easy to swallow. I love y'all. Pray for unity. Pray for America. Pray for the world.
Yeah, he said it. He said it. Pray. It's a very powerful thing. Communicating with our Heavenly Father. I also call it Mother, Father, God, because there is a feminine aspect of the consciousness of the Creator of all things that are eternal. That's a deep well and a deep subject. But I'll give you this so you can think about it. Make your own mind up for what you want to believe and hear and see. That energy that we are is eternal. I'm trying to see if I got an image that can explain this. You see that beautiful woman right there? That's Emily Limley. She didn't know about Israel. She didn't know about 1913. There's a lot of things that she knew, that she taught me. But what that done was it opened up the ability for me to do these deep dives and feel safe about who I was in Christ. That's what she taught me. She taught me that we are the resurrected power of the living Christ, that we are through the I am, that you are and I am. She taught me to speak life to my body, my cells, my DNA. She taught me, show your whole her hair. Look at her. She was so beautiful. At this point in her life, she was 80, right at 87 years old when I met her. And this picture was taken that year. So she lived till she was, I think, 97 or 98. They're little, yeah, it was 97, 98. She wanted to make it to 100. So did Tupelo Joe. But look, this is a lesson that she taught me. We can only reverse that corruption within our DNA. And what we have to do, like she did for me and other people that tried, she tried to tell everybody, but most people didn't even hear, because this was all the way back to 2003. I woke up August the 17th, 2003. I met her day 2. So nobody was actually really ready to hear anything that was opposite of church religion. But I caught on to it hook, line, and sinker because I needed a healing within my body. I needed to understand and have an inner knowing of who the hell I was in Christ and what it meant in this reality was that she could only carry it so far. And she told me, said, buddy, if you start speaking life to your body, you'll live a long life. She only knew it for 30 years and she could only reverse it so far. I've known it since she taught me. You do the math, 2003. And I tried to teach it to these children. And she said, these children that you will reach, they will get it down to their atoms, down to their DNA, and they will begin to heal their bodies and their minds and become supernaturally stronger, wiser. Yeah, you can regenerate your brain. You can ask for more brain power and you will get it. You are rebuilding your body whether you know it or not. Most people take the low road and they buy into sickness and disease, and they have it. They have no peace in their mind and they don't know why. It's just the fact no one has ever told them that they needed to control their thoughts. They don't teach this in school or church. It is a crying shame that very few people know what I'm talking about. I wish I could have the words to explain. But when she said that these children, when they get it, and they do this awakening mantra to their atoms, their cells, and their DNA, and they speak it as as a rhythm of healing their body, like a mantra, they will change this world. I might not see that change, but I damn sure seen a lot in my awakening. And I know how powerful my Mother, Father, God is. I know how powerful love is. Love is the key. Without love for yourself, which is most important. I lived all my early life in turmoil because I couldn't read or write because of dyslexia and dyscalculus and dysgraphia. It drove me to the point of starting to drink at 11 years old just to feel normal around other teenagers. I usually hung out around older teenagers in Greenville, Mississippi. And I created a lot of mischief for myself, to say the least. But in that turmoil, when that peace comes, nothing else can bring those storms of thinking back to your reality because you can control the storm. You can control the storm within your thoughts. You can control the storm within this world. And you can heal yourself and you will live. If you get this as a 15-year-old or 20-year-old, and you just keep teaching it and keep talking about it and keep loving everything and everyone, and you get your identity fixed in the resurrected power of the I am through the resurrected power of Yeshua ben Joseph. Call it whatever you want. It is Christ energy. And that is why this world is an illusion, because it's not real. Your physical form is not real. It's temporary and it's decaying and it's aging. No one has left this world but a couple of entities because they tapped into Christ consciousness. Emily was a Christ conscious being. Tupelo Joe Turner was a Christ conscious being. But they could only go so far in their vessels. I will only go so far in my vessel. I'm healthy. And I plan on being healthy for the next 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. And I want to see some of these young ones that are getting this teach it to their children. And then they teach it to their children. We'll see some people live to be 200. Like they're talking about giving them checks out to people as 200. That's the future. And it ain't got nothing to do with AI. It's got everything to do with knowing your identity and also knowing that we can't stop the evolution of technology. But what we can do is embrace it and use it for the good, for love, and for expanding consciousness around this world. And the awakening will grow. And we will see through the spells that are being spent by Hollywood. Hollywood. That's the wood of a sorcerer from the holly tree. That's why they call it Hollywood. Those people are spinning spells and doing Luciferian dark magic. That's why Epstein and so-called P. Diddy were doing what they were doing to blackmail them people, to hold them people in a bond and chains, take their whole life away, but gave them so-called money and power, put them in places and high places and things, and made them feel like they was movie stars and singers. Oh, you can look at the history of some of them. They fell apart after a while. I'm not going to get off in how they fall apart and then they take them and clone them. That'd be a whole nother video. But yeah, I'm going to do a video on cloning. Yeah, you seen Westworld. It was in this clip tonight. Yeah, yeah. Wally Brooks. He was one of the first breatharians to become nationally known. He told me, yeah, buddy, there are machines walking around, high level machines, robots. Yeah, they're that advanced. So we don't know who the real people are until you talk to them. And I could take a machine and I can talk to it, and I guarantee you I could corrupt its thinking because it's a machine. We have control and dominance over AI itself and the internet. Yes, we're the ones with the power. We're the ones that have the co-creative ability to win this war with love and peace. And the best part is truth. When you research your information that you're feeling within your being, you're helping yourself be more stable. And when you're more stable, then you're a benefit to humanity. But if you're not a free thinker, you ain't doing nobody no good. All those Democrats, Republicans that are guilty too. Oh my God, don't get me off on that. How many of them have went to the island? How many of them are guilty? I won't cast the first stone because there ain't no need in it. The truth's going to come through the light of day, and people will know that there is a whole nother way of seeing. I thought I had one more keyed up. I don't know where it is. Well, artificial intelligence. Let me look.
To look at
No,
the
that ain't
effects
it.
of a biological terror event. And it was kind of a scary scenario. We would lose a lot of people if a really effective bioterror event.
No, that's not the one I wanted. Well, that's okay. They're coming out. um, People they will start asking good questions. And the more questions that people ask, the better, because they live. That movie is a true story. It's it's a documentary. If you haven't watched it, uh, yeah, it's got Ronnie Piper in it. You need to watch it. It's really good. The Truman Show. If you haven't seen that, it's really good. And where is God? It's your breath. It's your heart beating. It's you resonating as a life-giving, loving being that has the wisdom to ask questions and hear the answers. Ask for wisdom above all things. Ask for wisdom. Wisdom to understand AI and the wisdom to use it as a tool for your benefit. It can happen. You can learn it. And you young people, cut your cell phones off. If the system has its way, those cell phones are going to stop you from having the ability to make babies. That goes for the men's, the children, the women's, and the girls. And if you're like I am, learning disabled, use that button. And it works so good. It's you can't see it, but let me pull it over here and show you. Well, I can't pull it over there. Well, I'll break the matrix if I keep on doing that. Let me stop. All right. If you haven't watched all my videos, that's okay. I got a bunch of them. Oh yeah, and they censored me, and first purge took down 200, then second purge I took down probably another 200. But yeah, they were using that technology of algorithms and monitoring us to keep us quiet. But somehow we've got an open window and an open opportunity, and I believe that if we do what we're supposed, we can get to the part about being healed and made whole and complete. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. That's the cell phone. Now, these boys were baseball players, and I swear to God, they were. This one right here, I think he was 6'4", and this one was like 6'2", 6'3", and they are pitchers, and they are just super athletic kids. And I call them kids, but they're young men. And they told me no, they didn't ever even think about cutting their phones off. And both of them have contacted me since I put their video up, and said that they've been talking about it amongst their friends and telling them that some guy told them that maybe we ought to practice cutting them off, which is a good thing. Everybody will get to that wisdom one way or another. Everybody awaken to the truth of why, excuse me, the cell phones are detrimental. It's a tool. That's all it is. But nobody teaches that. You can't teach that kind of athleticism, athletes. These suckers are good athletes, healthy boys. Oh, that's Ice Doxson, left wing. Yeah, that's one of my video covers. I know, bless his heart, that's little Jeffrey. Jeffrey, did you kill yourself? No, I did not kill myself. This son of a bitch just murdered me. Yeah, that's a sad story. That's Josh Holly. I got a lot of videos of his. He literally, when he comes home to Missouri and he lays his head down to sleep here in the Ozarks, he's about 15 miles from my house. He and I know each other. I know where he's at in his thinking, and he knows where I am in my thinking. And one day we're going to get some communicating skill together, and we're going to work on some things that he and I've been talking about. One of them is stop them chemtrails from flying over Missouri. Those planes, they can be tracked and their numbers, even if they try to wipe them out, we'll know who the pilots are, and we'll know the the numbers of the planes, and do it just like they did in Kentucky. And I don't know if they passed it in Kentucky and Tennessee, but they're planning on it. If you're not familiar with chemtrails, I'll do a video about it and teach you, tell you what it is. It ain't a good thing. Anytime they can take aluminum and put aluminum in the sky, Elon, you need to do a deal where you do your algorithm thing and you search the black money in the deep state that's going to pay for this, covering the sky up with clouds, artificial clouds, and they do it like 3 days before it's predicted rainfall in Missouri because they want to get that aluminum out of the ionosphere because that drifts up. And so when it rains aluminum. I know y'all can figure this thing out. If I can figure it out, y'all can too. $1 trillion in waste. Watch now. Oh my God. You mean they're stealing our money? Well, money ain't. You mean they're stealing our money? Money ain't what we think. It's like a currency and a bank. You got a left bank and you got a right bank. And there's a prophecy from the Mayans that talk about, maybe it's from the Hopi. Yeah, the Hopi. That talk about the rivers will be flowing and you'll be holding on to the bank like trying to, pay for your house note and your car note, and you're going under the water and you're drowning. But all you got to do is get your dumb ass out of debt, and you can push off from the bank and get comfortable in the flow of the currency by knowing your identity in Christ and help us heal the world. But we can't do it if we're debted slave. How many people are free? How many people are really free to actually hear the word spoken? That man right there ain't nothing but an actor. You see him? And he ain't even a good one. He ain't even a good one. Oh my God, there she is. And she got, I think, $2 billion, had $100 in the bank account. And I wish her a lot of luck with whatever prosecution type stuff she gets involved in. Because somebody's been money laundering. Oh my God. Hold on just a second. Huh. I had to wet my whistle on this money laundering stuff. Yeah, AI generated that. That's so cool. Yeah. Let me see this. A picture's worth 1,000 words. A good picture built by AI is worth 10,000 words. And then if you make a video doing a voiceover of this mess, it's worth, oh, what is that? It's worth millions, millions. Time is on our side. But this is about teens slowed down to 35 miles per hour, Ozark, Missouri. There's a speed trap right on Jackson Street from McDonald's all the way to the workshop there and past the bridge. If you're driving back, you see the come and go. You'll see that it says pedestrian walkway, but there says nothing about a school zone. If you keep driving, you can't even see the school because it's higher elevation than the road. But once you get down there by Sonic and you see that there's no sign for 35 mile an hour. There's no sign leading up to the school going towards McDonald's. What can it, Mayor of Ozark, City Board, all you aldermen, what can we do to get school signs to break this spell of these kids getting pulled over for speeding? And these out of towners are getting pulled over because they don't realize we got not only one school right here across from Sonic, but we got another school down there across from KFC. And at the turning where you turn on from 65 to get on Jackson, going towards the Sonic, there's only one sign, and it's at the beginning of the road. And then another one in front of the come and go on the opposite side of the road. I'm sorry, it needs to be marked better than that. We can do a better job, Ozark. Yeah, Jeffrey. Yep. Yep. Tough story. Tough story to tell. It involves the CIA version of Israel, which is the deep state of Mossad. Who is behind all of this mind control mess? All roads are going to lead through disclosure, and all informational sources are going to realize that that force of evil is not the Israeli people. Just like it's not us The American people that has plundered this earth through warfare in places like Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran. What was Muammar Gaddafi? What was he doing? Did you do your due diligence to look him up to see what was the truth about him, or did you believe what the TV told you? All he really wanted to do was Muammar Gaddafi wanted a dinar. That's their type of money in the Middle East. But he wanted it for Libya to be backed up with gold, a gold backed dinar. What does Trump 17 want to do with Federal Reserve and Bitcoin and gold reserves? Does he want it to be printed by the Treasury once we do that? Well, guess who did that back in 1964? He printed $5 silver certificates. I got one right back there. I'll pull that sucker out next time I make a video about this and tell you about it, show you. I got a $5. At the top of it, it says United States Treasury note. All the other money says Federal Reserve note. 6 months later, Kennedy is shot dead in Dallas, Texas, and any Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana person looking at the actual video can tell he was shot from the front. We didn't need no conspiracy theory about it. We just knew. We knew the man was murdered. There wasn't nothing nobody could do at that time, but there's something we can do right now. There's something we can do right now is become the truth, become the news, become the one that helps wake a community up. Talk to everybody. Everybody talk to each other. Communication is salvation. When you become willing to teach what you know, even though you don't have the skills to teach, but you ask for wisdom, and you will be shown that the word is a powerful thing. I love each and every one of y'all. I don't know how long I've been talking, but it's done eclipsed 1 hour and 1 hour, right dead at 1 hour. That's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and shut it off here. I don't want these things to be too long. I think an hour works out. Tomorrow is Sunday. I'm not going to be live tomorrow. I'm going to be rested. And it ain't a religious type of thing. It's just that I'm going to rest. I got some things I want to do that ain't got to do with making a live stream. I will be back Monday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So on your way out the door, hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. That way you'll get the notifications from YouTube, and bless somebody by showing them love. I love all of y'all. Have a good day. We'll get back together Monday at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about. See you then.